Hi good people, so we have so many books now and I'm super excited to welcome you again, and it's still Rita Talk Show and let's talk reading, kusoma, and I am still with the Umoja book club ladies. I'm super excited, and before we ended our show I posed a question. I said what advice do they have for young people, and what advice do they have for me, a mother of a 6-year-old boy, and every mother in Africa, in Tanzania specifically, and of course in the world. So welcome back ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again.
Start with me, please.
Who is taking the first question? The first question, you. Oh, okay. Let's start there.
For young people,
Yeah.
I remember the last time we met, it was at that event in the university,
Yes.
and I had to speak to the people in the university about the culture of reading and
We
why
had
they
about
should read.
1,000 people
Yeah,
or more.
there are about
Yes.
more than 1,000. It was quite packed. And I remember on that day, one lady came after me and told me, you know what, Dada Anna, I read, but with my friends, when I read, they say that nina hobbies za kizungu.
I'm a wannabe.
Yeah, you're a wannabe. but she didn't stop reading.
Yeah.
She kept on reading. And in a way, she told me that, you know what, I see myself ahead of them in so many ways because I read a lot. And around that time, I was doing the Slayer book challenge on Instagram for girls to inspire them to read more because there is that vacuum if you do not read. So for young people in the country, I'll tell them, look for books that will interest you. Find out what interests you as a person. Find the gaps where you want to grow. Don't just go for someone's list and start reading it, because that's a list for them.
Yeah.
Even when someone comes to me and asks me that I want to read, I always tell them, well, you know what? Tell me what you want to learn more.
Yeah.
Where do you see a vacuum? What are your visions in life? What do you want to become? Where do you want to grow in? And I tell them, you know what? If this is it, go and read that book. Is it finance? I'll give them a finance book. And this is very important for a young person because it makes you smart and it makes you stand out than others.
Yeah.
And if you are a girl, oh my God, and you read, you sit among people and people are like, oh my God, she's not just pretty, she is, you know, she's smart.
Yeah.
And people love that.
Yeah.
I love to be seen as a smart person, so I believe every young person out there will love that.
Yeah.
And then it helps you to coexist with others, especially when you are born here, you are raised here, you go to school here. It's good to have other perspectives about life. And this you will get when you read books written by people from other cultures and so much more.
Yeah.
So I encourage young people to read as much as you can. You might think it's not going to help with your studies, but it will help you so much with your studies.
Yeah.
I said earlier on the other show that I think I passed my history because of the books I read as well. And now for mothers, I'm a mother as well. I'm a mother of two girls.
Interesting.
I started reading for my girls like very early on in life. But then, you know, as a woman, you get out of work, sometimes you're tired, and then there's this, our phones, sometimes you call them our second husbands, because they always occupy you. So what I'll tell them is try as much as you can, because children, it's unfortunate, but it's true that children are likely to learn from what you do more than from what you tell them.
Yeah.
So by just telling them go and read a book and they never say you read a book, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So create this culture, because now we want a Tanzania, a future of people who read.
Yeah.
So let's start nurturing these young people from an early age. Sometimes when I get home and I want to look at my phone, I learned this trick from one of the books. I take my book and put my phone in between and pretend like I'm reading. I know it's cheating, but my daughter now, she takes a book and sit there and starts counting and pointing out her colors, thinking that mom is reading as well. So I'm just saying this because we need to have all these ways of reading. So I buy books for them, a lot of books. When I bought them early, my friends used to sell, but they all they do is tear them apart. But then they tear them apart, but then they get attached to it. They start loving books. And my daughter, when she started speaking, one of her words were like, boo, boo, meaning book. She'll point at the book. She'll point at like her collection, and she'll point at that book. That's the one she wants, and she'll flip through it. And for me, that's good because I know she'll grow knowing books. So she won't be surprised, or she won't be taken by surprise. So I think as mothers, we should actually really try to introduce our children to books at an early stage, so that we create that culture, because it doesn't happen just like that. I'm sure even with us, most of us started learning early, and that helped us to grow into loving books.
So
How
I
are
have a question for you.
Yes.
In many, more often than not, the common excuse that you hear from people, especially women, they'll tell you, I don't have the time because I am raising these kids. How do you fit that into your schedule?
I usually I don't leave work too late. That's lucky me. But there are days I'm really tired. Like I get home, I want to just throw the shoes there and lay down. It's at least try doing it. Start doing it. If you have a partner, share with him that you also want him to start reading with the kids. That could also help. But even if you have a dada who is helping you, tell the dada when the child comes, sometimes don't switch on the TV first. You know, with us, what people do, the baby comes home from school, or she's just there all the time. The TV is on. She's watching her cartoons.
Or their iPads.
Or iPads. Yes, and iPads as well.
Yeah.
They are watching their videos, their YouTubes for kids and all that. But as much as you want them to do that, why? Let's now try, and this is what I do: give them books. I'll show you pictures later. Because now they know this. Even my older daughter, who is not that old, will take a book and start showing it to the young to the young one, because they already get that it's important to read, and of course because they see me with my books as well.
Exactly.
So yes, time is limiting, but we should create time.
Very, very, very interesting. And just to add on that, I think life is about choices and priorities. So it's really your choice. What are your priorities for the day? And you will decide. And I also travel quite a bit. And so with that, if you go on Play Store, there are apps that you can read for your child as they are away, so you do it together at the same time from wherever you are. But I think really life is about priorities and choices.
Just to add on to that, I think I'll say, one way of making people do things is to make them want to do it. So you create an atmosphere, even relating to children, where they want to read. So in creating that culture, it shouldn't be that reading is a task for children. Somehow create a way where they see it as an incentive, that if you read, you get rewarded one or two things in one way or another. So I think that's also the responsibility of the parents, holding themselves accountable in creating that for their children.
Exactly.
Make it fun.
What is your advice for the young people as far as reading is concerned?
So the example that she gave of someone telling her that you're a bougie or you're acting, you're a wannabe. Ndo hicho kitu kuwa when ukisoma vitabu, you learn to accept kuwa this is who I am. The fact to stand out, especially in African culture, being special or to stand out is something that is shunned upon. Like you're different this way, and then you get penalized because of that.
And worse for women.
It's even worse. Yes, it's even worse for women. I would tell a young person that wants to pick a book, it is okay. It is okay for people not to get it. It's okay for people to see you different.
Yes.
And what makes you different makes you special.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes.
You are not going to be like this industrial product thing that is the same between a 1 to 1,000. You get. You're going to stand out because you come with your own manual now.
Yes, yes.
Understand?
Yes.
So for me, it's be confident, know yourself. But self-discovery is a very long journey because I'm still finding myself.
Right.
Yeah. So whatever piques your interest, whether it is robotics, whether it is food and nutrition, whether it's cartoons, because you have people who are making a living out of cartoons, animations and stuff like that. And so it's okay to just know and pick on a hobby. So your hobby should be complemented by a book. That is how you survive.
Yeah.
So for me, I think I've always been fascinated by the human mind. I just really want to know what's
Curiosity,
inside. You know,
yeah.
I'm just curious, like what is going through your mind. So that's why I read psychology books. But for someone who is really interested in sports, there are sports books that you can read.
Yes.
Somebody is interested in plants, there are plant books you can read. So basically, the best way is to try to marry your hobby and the books that you read so that it keeps you consistent. Because otherwise, if you're sitting here and like me, I start reading about some astronomy or astronaut thing, it doesn't really talk to me. Yes. And then that's why I truly believe it's not like people do not want to read. It is they've not found the right book for them. Yeah.
I want to say something. Doreen, you invited me to the book club.
Yes.
Oh, I'm super excited still, and I'm truly grateful. And for me, I find it common that either for us authors, Tanzanian authors, local authors, either we don't produce good quality, good content, or either we don't find people to read our content. So I don't know whether they don't read because it's not good, or they don't read because we don't believe that Tanzanians can create very good content, factual, with research and whatnot. I've placed down so many African books here, and for me, it meant something. It meant a lot for you to invite me. My question is, why did you decide to invite a Tanzanian author to the book club?
Okay, so the truth of the matter is that a lot of the books that we read, especially as young African women, we are not the target audience, right? Although we can relate to the principles and concepts that are in these books, we're essentially not the target audience because they were not written really for us. So for me, it was important, especially setting up a platform such as this, to start on home ground. So it was, I don't know, a chance of fate that we met, and it's just so happened that it was our first review. So it was very important, and it really did make sense to not only start with a Tanzanian author, but start on home ground to really get that message across.
Wow, interesting. Do you ladies read African books? African authored books?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Like which ones?
One of my favorite books was actually gifted to me in my early 20s. That was quite a pivotal moment in my life. It's a book by a Zimbabwean author, Tsitsi Dangaremba. Right? It's a book called Nervous Conditions. And I know there's a lot of African authors, but I guess we're just not quite aware of why. I honestly can't answer just as yet. But yeah, there's great African literary context out there.
Maybe your challenge for us as African authors is that we should not sit with our material as well. We should write, but then advertise, say what we have, so that people reach us.
Right.
So anyone else who has read an African authored book?
I have read plenty. I've read Chimamanda. I think every girl have read Chimamanda. And lately the Smart Money Woman. She's African. I've read your book.
Oh, nice.
I've read Sandra Mushi's Stands on My Kanga, and
Sandra,
so many
really
more. I think the only problem we have is even when you are early, you get introduced to the other books. You know, there are these books which are very common, like Rich Woman, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So you get introduced to them and you kick off with them. But I think they are very great content from African writers. And the thing is, when you read it from an African writer, some of these books from Chimamanda, when you read them, you relate with them so much. When she's talking about her childhood, how she was perceived, and you can relate with them so much. So I think we have some great content, but we need now to start making noise about it. We need to make more noise about the African content that's out there, and supporting our authors as well. Yes, some of these books, the quality is not that good, but I think that's something that can get fixed. And of course, we need to also do more research, and so that to create more awareness and things like that. But there's some great content, and I think even some of us are going to put more content in the market.
Absolutely. Vivian, you talk about accountability and development. And
exactly. I think I've read I started reading a lot of African books from my secondary level, primary level. And it's those books that were political, the Kenyan authors,
Ngugi wa Thiong'o,
your Ghanaian authors that were talking about the political context at the time they were growing up and all the journey to the freedom fighting. And those books are honestly rich in content. But as you said, maybe when we start reading and we start the culture of reading, we are initiated to the European context. And when you really read, like for example, Ngugi wa Thiong'o, when he talks about the streets they were living in at that time, the bars, it's real. They make you live in the moment. Rather than, for example, if I read a Michelle Obama book, yes, she's African, but she grew up in America and the context is a bit different. So there are so many good African authors. We need to be very vocal about it. For example, I've read Equal But Different. She's an African author. And she's called, Dr. Judy. Dr. Judy Dlamini, and who's also currently the chancellor at my former university. And when you read her book, because it's a South African context, you really relate to what she's talking about. And I like the fact that she interviews African women, black women, Indian women, white women, but you find as you go along, you relate more to the African women more, because she tackles issues of race, gender, social class, and how these are how all these three impact women leadership. So I think African books are really, really key. It's just that maybe also we should challenge ourselves as a book club that are we researching enough about them? Because it's not only about the authors. The authors are putting out the material, but information, if you don't seek information, it continues to remain hidden. And that's why they said if you want to kill an African, you put it in writing. It's a sad tale, but to be honest, it's also evident here that we have not done so much research about African books, and yet it has great, rich content.
I'm back to you, Doreen. If I want to be a member, if anyone out there who is listening to me now, listening to all of us, wants to join Umoja Book Club, what are the criteria? What do I need to have, and how do I reach you guys?
Okay, so again, the focus is on young professional women. So there's a certain unspoken demographic the club sort of speaks to, but how you can join is by sending an email to umojabookclub@gmail.com, and essentially what you'd need to do is request to join and tell us why you like to read, why you'd like to be a part of Umoja Book Club, and what that would mean for you essentially.
Interesting. And the other time when we had coffee together, and we talked about your vision or your target to reach further beyond this class that you're operating with, to reach students. That really is something. Why, how, what are the plans?
So because what we've done is use also social media to get our message across, I think over time, over the past year, we've really seen what kind of impact and influence that has created. And we, as a club, then thought we can't just, sit and limit this to us. There's so much potential to grow and get our message across on a bigger platform. And for the future, we've you know, we are planning or we're deciding to sort of set up an educational foundation to, you know, reach further in creating that reading culture.
This is music to my ears. Really music to my ears.
Yeah.
Ladies, any message you have to anyone you want as far as reading is concerned?
Maybe also just before we get to the message, just adding to what Doreen has said, for me also, the vision for the book club is I would love to see book societies, book reading societies being set in the different schools, especially government schools, where the environment itself is already, someone has to really push to be able to come out. So if we create, as a book club, we start these genuine and free book clubs, whereby you engage. It's almost like safe spaces for people to come and read and be bougie. I think it will really, really change the narrative. Because me, I can only have 2 kids, and I can have 2 or 3 or 4, etc. But that does not even make to the 55 million. But if we stretch the little resources that we have as a book club and really reach out to the less fortunate, for me that is what I would love to see. Especially as I told you, I'm very passionate about women, the young women, because it's through those spaces that they'll be able to know and understand that, you know what, I can and I will be able to achieve my goals if I'm really so
that's really nice. It really resonates with the discussion we had the other time with Doreen. So you guys are on the safe and a good track, heading right there.
Yeah.
I see you want to say something, Anna.
What I would like to tell people is that they should create time to read. It's important, as Vivian said earlier. Our minds need food, and what we feed our minds is what we read. And as a book club, when I joined this club for the same reasons, I met Doreen and I told her, you know what, I love I love what you are doing with the club, and I already had this vision of creating this reading culture, especially among the young people, because they are the future. They are the now actually, and the future as well. And I joined the book club also because I have this passion for young people and women. I love to see women doing better, because it's like pay it forward, do it for the next woman, do it for the next woman. And I believe that in the future we are going to do more of that in the club. We are going to share more, more will be communicated, but the plans, we are having amazing plans.
Big plans.
Big plans, big plans. We want to, as
that's
Vivian said, we want to change the narrative. In a few years to come, we want people to speak of Tanzania not as Tanzanians, not as people whom you have to hide information in a book. That's really what you will want to see.
That's really nice. I love the fact that you ladies speak from a solution point of view, which is what we need now. You're not speaking from a challenge point of view. You're speaking, really interesting. Thank you. How are you wanted to say something, my dear?
So for me, books can really save and change your life. Literally. Because I don't even know how to put it in a more plain way than that. That because when you wake up, you pick a book, and then it gives you, like, most of these books are like, they give you steps. Like, this is what you can do. This is what you have to do. This is what I have done as an author now, writing. How they write is like, this is what it took me to get where I am. And then it's like somebody has done your homework for you. All you have to do is just tweak it now and then,
Put it
and
into
then
action.
And you go. So for me, it has a potential to change your life, but as well, it is a very important tool that helps you unlearn. We are very good at learning.
I love that.
You know, you accumulate information and but unlearning, because there are things that they are either toxic, they are either negative, they are either not helping you, very limiting. But books help you unlearn. You will learn, but you'll learn to let go of certain things that are not growing you, not helping you at all. And that's what I'm looking for. And my vision, the vision that we share is, for me, the grander scale of things is to have a platform that constantly, because I've realized people are always on their phones, they are always on TV, and having a platform that really nails the idea of reading a book on a constant basis, that you see people, you expose people to different people, that, you know, I want a girl somewhere in Pwani, somewhere in Mbinga, anywhere, to say, you know what, today I saw a doctor, and I got to understand what it takes to be a doctor, and the steps they took, and the books they've read, and that they're inspired to follow the same track. Because unfortunately for Tanzania, I will tell you, in as much as we have social media and the platform, the media and things like that, at some point I feel like we're concentrating on the wrong things. And children, teenagers are always looking for an inspiration. And it could be positive or negative. It's just what is in front of them. So they try to mirror whatever they see. And if at all you're constantly working on making sure what they see is something healthy, something sustainable for their growth, for their health, and everything else in between, it will help us change this country. Because at the end of the day, I think for all of us here, what we want to see is change. Change.
So Doreen, people can go to PhD levels, master's levels, anywhere. But does learning ever stop?
Well, as far as reading is concerned, don't limit yourself to your profession. I think it's important to remember these are essentially just titles. And for me, what I look for or seek out when I'm reading is how I can live a more purposeful life. And so I pick books that will help me, you know, develop me or get me to that stage that I'd ultimately like to be at, that are away from law, that are away from finance and so forth. So I'd say to people, don't limit yourself. That's essentially just a title. That's not who you are. You know, I'm more than just a lawyer. She's more than just a banker and so forth. So yeah.
Oh, I thank you so much.
One thing I need to emphasize, a lot of excuses people always bring in is the question of time. For me, time is very relative. How you experience time, you could see this, you could say this is a very long day. It could be someone else's shortest day ever. And because of relativity of time, I truly believe you don't find time. It's not hiding under your couch. It's not somewhere on the trees. You make time, and that's what that's the beauty of time, because you make it. You fit whatever it is that is in your priority to fit into your agenda, and you'll be surprised. I don't read 3 a.m. at night. I read the normal hours. I just know where my priorities are, and that is something maybe people need to realize. Or when you're having a friend you're trying to convert into book reading culture, it's explaining to them, like, can you break down your days? Do you know what you do between this time? Because
your social media time.
These phones are very intelligent. They will tell you your screen time is this much.
You have
people,
true.
And the screen. So, unfortunately or fortunately for me, I started to realize a bit early how much I'm spending time on social media. There was an app that you actually had to pay for to do a screen time analysis for you. Right now it's free. With most smartphones it's free. And I was like, so basically I wake up to use my phone and sleep. Literally, that is all I do, because even being present at work is very difficult. Your concentration is always split. But with books, it's like, you know, my priority is reading this book for this month, and that's it.
Going back again to your question, I think it's a known fact that some of the most successful people in this world are avid readers. And I think it's a known fact also that they read up to, I think, about 4 books a month. So if these people that are so busy in their professional lives can make time to read, why can't you?
And to add on to that, why I tell people to read is because that's a personal development thing. Most of these things we do are outside our bodies. We go for kitchen parties, we go for weddings. They are all good. We need the network, we need to eat with family and dance and all that. But when you read a book, it's for your personal growth. And I remember when I had my first child and had to stay at home for a long time, I read a lot. And it made me not get out of my, you know, of that space so much, because I was updating myself through reading. So I always tell my friends the same thing, that, you know what, by reading, you're doing it for yourself.
Exactly.
So you're creating time for you, which is the best investment. I keep telling people the best investment that you can make is an investment on yourself. Because even the people around you cannot get the best of you when you don't have it yourself.
Exactly.
So by reading, you're investing on yourself, which is the most important investment. So I'll just tell a person, so you don't want to invest on yourself, what else are you here, what else are you here for? So it's very important. It's very important.
Also,
interesting.
Just adding to what Hawa said, you know, the people we admire, the reason you admire Michelle Obama today is because she did her homework. The reason we are sitting here with the Nelson Mandela book, those years in prison, he was reading.
Yes, he was.
To come up with a plan, he was investing in his mind. As I was saying, he was sharpening his mind. So the people that we draw great admiration from have read. So if we want to be like, and you can even bring it home, a person like January Makamba, he's always posting books. People draw great admiration from him. You know, even our own president, he's a learned person. A learned person, you're assuming he's read, he's knowledgeable. So who do you admire? Go and even find out the list of books he's reading and invest that time in yourself.
Guys, thank you so much. I don't want this to end, but we have to close it. But I want to say something. I really love your connection. You echo each other's statements. You're really in sync. Yes, that's the word. And it makes me want to draw even more closer. And it makes so much sense that your book club is really about inspiring and empowering each other. And I'm so glad that you're reaching out there to help and make a difference even further, apart from only the group. And I want to thank you so much for your time. But before we end our session, I will give Doreen time to say anything she wants about the book club, encouraging further book clubs, and anything you want to share.
I would encourage you know, our viewers to, you know, as much as we'd like you to be a part of Umoja, but it's also okay to set up your own smaller groups and play your part as an individual in, again, changing the narrative for Tanzanians. So
Oh, thank you so much.
And we'd love to see more men book clubs.
That is right. Asante sana Tanzania. Asante everyone who is really investing their time to watch Rita Talk Show. Today has been amazing. And I'm truly, truly grateful and honored that we got to talk about reading. Kusoma ni muhimu, siwezi kueleza zaidi umuhimu wa kusoma, lakini tafadhali, please make time, pick up a book, read. You can start with 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, and that way we can move forward. Read, and read some more. Rita Talk Show, we are at Hayati. Thank you very much. Instagram, Rita.Tarimo, and subscribe on my YouTube channel. By the way, leave your questions and I'll ask the ladies to be kind enough to respond to your questions. Asante sana. Let's keep reading and love you all.